Woo woo! Yeah, baby. What's up? My name is D, and together we are Guiding D-Light. Man, oh man. It's been fun. It's been interesting. It's been expansive. What have you been feeling, right? Wanted to capture a few things here, as I process this last couple weeks and things that have been going on within my reality, the shifts within my family, the unification that I've seen around me, right? Because that's what I've been focusing on, unification. How can we all come together and be harmonious, right? Why does it have to, take stair steps? And the more I realize this spiritual journey that I'm on, right, I realize how much closer it's brought me to the Lord, right? God is with us constantly. He's trying to put us in the right positions at the right time, but sometimes we don't follow our intuition, right? When we get better with our discernment, our intuition becomes more guided. When we follow our intuition, we trust our discernment, and we don't hesitate, then we realize that God always is putting us in the right positions at the right time. So when we follow that, when we become one with that connection grows stronger, right? My connection to the Lord has grown so strong, it's beautiful. So that straight golden connection to the oversoul, to the God himself of the humanity, right? It's a frequency that's pretty high, and it's very honoring, and especially to be able to work with that in tandem. I just want to share that with you guys. I don't know if you guys have seen that gold energy lately. Maybe, you've been talking to God himself lately. I know a lot of clients have been doing that, and that's really one thing I want everybody to understand, okay? If you want to keep progressing on a spiritual connection, but without getting closer in unification with God, you are only going to go down dark spirals, right? You are going to deal with everything else that doesn't want to come back to the source. Not really the best place to be, although you learn a lot there. I've been there, done that. Much love to you, but I'm just telling you, the strength and the unity comes from the one source, right? You understand the source, you entangle yourself with it, you become one, and it's a beautiful feeling. So relationships, right? We talk about these different relationships that we build within the community through partnership, communication, and collaborative, right? Well, think about the relationship of the family, right? Now, I know some of this might be touchy for some of you guys, but just hear me out, okay? Mom and dad, they did a great deal of sacrifice to raise you and to put you in a position to be an adult, right? The amount of sacrifice that takes place for the parent to child or to raise the children, right? Even if it's not done in a proper way, they still made sacrifices, right? They picked to feed you versus feeding themselves. Whatever it is, they made a ton of sacrifice. And I didn't understand the appreciation I had for my parents until I had my kids. Now that I've had my kids and I understand the work, a couple years ago I hated emptying the dishwasher and stuff, but I've realized, it's just part of being an adult. And if I don't have a negative relationship with it, it becomes more harmonious. I don't mind doing it now. It's like I'm in meditation when I'm emptying it. And I'll be damned, it empties itself sometimes, magically. It's a beautiful thing. But we have to have that relationship with our parents, right? Some of you are like, I don't even want to talk to my parents. I can't stand my parents, blah, blah, blah. I think it's a forgiveness thing, okay? Forgive your parents for whatever wrong you think they did to you because they really sacrificed to make you who you are, okay? And then as you have that appreciation towards your parents and you set yourself upon that gratitude, right? You don't have to say anything to them. Just make it aware that you forgive and you look forward to a strengthened relationship. That's it. Don't explain to him how it's done. Don't explain to him why you want to do it. Just say, you know what? I had a realization. I really appreciate you guys. I thank you so much for being my parents and getting me to this point in my life. And anything that's happened in the past, I would like to put that behind us. I would like to strengthen our relationship, and I'd like to be open for communication. That's it. Just putting yourself in that position is going to harmonically quantumly entangle all that, right? Because if you're pushing back, mom and dad are afraid to push forward because they don't want to push you back further. Think about that. Family is very important. relationships, right? So we talk about all these different things, but there's a lot of teachers out there that says there's going to be tough decisions you're going to have to make. Tough decisions, right? And they almost plant that seed of, I need to change exactly who I am, where I'm at, because I've changed. That's BS, okay? Now, yes, some people have partners that are very destructive and show very little signs of hope. That's a little different story. But if you follow me and do these principles with them, I still believe that there can be a expansion, growth, and change within the family, within the communicational relationship, right? So I woke up, went super high vibing, right? My wife's not so high vibing, rolling her eyes like, oh, you're fucking crazy. You said you're God. You are not God. You know, putting the Godhead on. That's a little something. Whoever's done that, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I always did this. Well, she's never going to get it. And blah, 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 blah. Like, I put myself on a higher trajectory and then pinned her down by having the thought process of, she's never going to get it. She's always going to be like, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, I created a drag. Didn't even know it. Right? So when I stepped back from it and I realized, you know, the strength that I get from my family, right? The last thing I wanted to see was my family separate, right? Because we are stronger unified, right? That's why I'm trying to unify everybody. But that connection to the family, you know, I love my wife. I put the ring on my finger and said my vows, right? And I meant it 100% till death do us part. You know, because some of us in relationships are going to go through tough times and our partners are going to help us out. And then when we get out of the struggle, sometimes our partners go back in there. And we need to be there to strengthen and to pull each other out, right? Encourage each other. That wasn't happening when I was way up here and she was way down here, right? If anything, I was discouraging her because I was a little, you know, cuckoo-cuckoo because I couldn't understand everything. And I'm like, you know, I'm God and a human vessel, you know, I'm a prophet and no one will understand it, right? So by having that openness and that receptiveness to say, hey, look, I love my wife. I really want her to understand this. I really want her to get it, right? So instead of saying things that would trigger her, I said things that would uplift her, right? Now, I still a little bit in there, you know, got to knock them off the pedestal, got to feed that seed, right, that they don't want to perceive at the time because they're not ready to conceive it, right? But I got to keep putting them in there, even if it causes a ticker, right? I'm so good at tickering people. I tell you what, when you get so involved into the truth and you tell people the truth, it really upsets them. Why? Don't you want to know? That's how I see it, at least. You know, call me out, tell me something I'm doing wrong. I'd like to try to work on it. I like to try to fix on it a little bit. You know, we all have our things we go through, our shite that we have to eat, right? And of course, the more you go down the rabbit hole, the more shit you come up with, right? Because anytime you come out of the rabbit hole, you're always covered in shit. I've said this before. Why go down the hole when you can stand over it, spread your wings, and soar? It's beautiful, I know. So, relationship within the family, right? So there's multiple people out there that say you got to make this hard decision, right? And you're going to change your life, but you're going to put yourself on a trajectory, right? I found that there's so much disinformation in that, right? God wants unity through family. Family, I can't express how much family can bring stability, right? Responsibility, right? When you have responsibilities and you have purpose in your life, that purpose and that responsibility drives you forward in order to be stable for that particular situation. So I have to do what I need to do as a man, right? To provide for my family so they can be stable and they can grow creatively versus growing confined, right? That's the responsibility I took on when I brought these kids into this world. I knew the first day I held that boy. I looked down, I'm like, I'm not the most important thing anymore. You see, I perceived that I was the most important thing. Nothing was more important than my life. Once I had the kid, I said, crap, I'm responsible for her and him. And it's no longer just me, right? That was a big truth realization. My first boy, I think he's 9 years old now, so can't believe it. I've been a parent for 9 years. That's scary stuff. But no, so we need to unify within our families, right? Family relationships and the strengths that it brings, right? You're not always going to have a great relationship with somebody, especially if you live with them 24/7. You leave the stinking shoes in the corner 15 million times, someone's going to get called out, right? You put the clean dishes, or you put the dirty dishes in the clean side of the sink, you do that a million times, yeah, someone's going to get angry. But here's the thing, okay? We look for similarities, right? Well, I wish I could find me a partner who was super spiritual, woke, and my twin flame, right? What would that do? I mean, looking at a complete reflection of yourself in the mirror, what would that do? You would accept yourself, right? Acceptance is key in surrender. But if you want to grow as an individual and improve your character, you need someone to push you. You need someone to call you out, right? Now, people ask about my wife and if she's woke. And I'm like, yeah, she's woke. She gets that there's a little bit more to life, but she's not into this energy stuff, right? She doesn't quite feel it. She picks it up empathically, and her intuition is very strong. And I do not go against it anymore because I've learned the woman has the best intuition, no matter how strong the man is. A little tidbit for you guys. But, her intuition's strong, and if she follows her intuition and I go with it and I power her intuition into making powerful decisions, harmonious things happen. And we strengthen each other, right? She calls me out for being stupid, right? I'm very dorky, guys. I'm very authentic. And the more authentic you are, the more you are special. Let's just use that word, special, right? You're so authentic, you're special. You're not like anyone else. You can have a great time within your existence no matter what's going on, and no one alters anything, right? You're so authentic, it makes people mad. So my wife has called me out on that, and she's helped me articulate my authenticity in order to be a more well-rounded, sharper arrow within my community. That way I bring in the respect and the treatment that I desire and deserve. Right? But if you're goofy Derek all the time and you don't really care what you look like and this and that, like, people have these perceived judgments, right? 95% of how people think about you is developed within the first 3 minutes of laying eyes on you. Think about that. Look yourself in the mirror. It's so hard, I know. You just see me before I got my hair cut. Oh my God. It's tough. It's rough looking good. But you want to make a solid impression on somebody. You want to make a solid impression through your community, right? You want to build relationships. Looking the best you can really helps, right? And I know a lot of you out there are probably upset that I just said that. But what I'm just saying is find the beauty within yourself. Right? Present yourself forward in a respectful manner, and you'll have that respect back. People won't write you off, right? You're building relationships. When you build relationships, it's like word of mouth, right? You're like, you talk to Derek, man, he's really cool these days, man. He looks like he's got his shit going on. Although he still drives a piece of crap truck, but I don't really get that. By the way, I'm 32 years old, never had a car payment. How many of you can say that? But anyways, we don't think about how people judge us, but in the same sense, we set ourselves up to be judged properly. See, unfortunately, if somebody judges us, we have to live with that quantum entanglement. So, that's why I don't like going out sometimes. It's why I like just staying in my own little circle, because then no judgment is cast upon me. I don't have to deal with it, right? But if we think about this, okay, we strengthen relationships. People push us, right? Back to the point here. You might have a partner that you're not the happiest with. What kind of communication is going on? right? What kind of transactions happen, right? If something happens, do you roll your eyes and walk the other way and like, oh, she's never going to get it and bury her? Or do you plead, say, I know you don't quite understand this, but I just wish you would give me a little bit of room and try to, right? Our thoughts are so strong, and through the way we perceive things, we also conceptualize. So the less we can conceptualize, the less we perceive, the less thoughts we have, the less we project. Well, we're not casting judgments. We're not writing in the sand, okay? And the more we do that, the more that's important, because that harmonic balance of that relationship takes place, right? So, lesson of the story. I know I got a little winded. It's very interesting, guys. It humbles me 100% to know how much strife I had within my relationships and within just my family, and how I've strengthened them. And now I can just think of things that I would like to see, or maybe just like to have this experience that day, and it just happens. Like, just thinking the other day, like, I wish I could do something magical with my kids, and 5 minutes later we're on our way to the circus. And there's nothing more magical than a circus, let me tell you. So just beautiful things. I know, oh, there's COVID, you guys went to a circus, where do you live? Right? I live in Ohio, but we traveled to Indiana. I'm right on the line. Indiana became a breakout state. Wonder why. They went full open, right? Everybody ripping their masks off like, whoa, we did it. A little premature. But anyways, guys, what I'm really getting at is, how are you building your relationships? How are your relationships playing out, right? Are they strengthening, or are they tearing apart? Right? Because if they're tearing apart, you're automatically going to point the finger. I just know. I know who's listening. I know how you think. No, I'm not calling individually one person out that I've done session with. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying in general how the consciousness works, the brain. I love you if you thought that I was calling you out. But if your relationships are being torn apart and not coming together harmoniously, stop pointing the finger and think about the thought patterns you're putting and associating with the relationship. How much effort are you putting into it? What kind of effort? Is the effort desirable in the outcome? Right? These are questions I ask myself. These are questions I deal with. You see, when you expand your consciousness and you realize the power of your thought, it's very, very, very powerful. And then when you can center yourself, come into the void outside of duality, and you have the understanding of no thought, you clear everything. The manifestation that takes place is what the higher mind desires. Not the little mind that's running around down here in the rat race like, I just want $1 million so I can be off the grid and I don't have to worry about work and blah, 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 blah. The front of your head hurts, don't it? Ain't that interesting? The more you think about all that, the more your head hurts up here. I want you guys to be creative. I want the feeling of your consciousness in the back of your brain, in the center of your brain, not in the front. I have a hard day at work. I'm very in tune in my job. I'll feel it right here. I know I'm in the zone. I'm getting work done. I set myself before I leave my office. I got a piece of pyrite, fool's gold, sitting on my desk. I stare into it for about 3 minutes, because pyrite helps you remember. And I take all of it, put it in there. And when I walk out of that building, I'm smiling and I'm in my creative spark. And I take that creative spark all the way back until I come back the next day and walk through that door. Why don't I keep the creative spark? Well, it's hard to focus and work in those two different lanes, right? So, hope this was good for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you got anything out of this, please like, share, subscribe. Send it to somebody you might not know, right? I didn't get too crazy with the multidimensionality on this one. It's more of the thought process and how we build relationships, how we can unify ourselves, but how we can also, with the power of the way we unfortunately perceive things, we can receive undesirable communications that weaken our relationships. So think about your relationships. Are your relationships strong? Are they being torn apart? And what can you do to alter your thoughts towards them in order to unify and not dissolve? Hope that was good. Like I said, it's always better when you're on the right side of things, but being on the wrong side of things gives you an opportunity to learn, to improve, and to understand when you get on the right side of things, what not to do to get on the other side. Guys, I've been covered in shit many, many times. Yeah, there's been times where I've cried and wanted to end it all. But now I stand here humbled as all can get out, because I've gotten that strength within the Lord. And as you guys do this, your strength and your relationship and communication with the Lord itself will grow. It will unify. And before you know it, you get in D zone, right? You get in that high frequency, and you're like, this is the best thing ever. How come nobody wants to understand this? Like, come on. And then you sit back and you realize it's only a matter of time. And those of us who are putting the work in now, who are striving to be better now, will have such a greater understanding when the whole becomes one. I love you guys. Hope you're having a fantastic week. Stay awesome. Be you. Stay true. And until next time,